Okay, thank you. Сделаю сейчас заявление в своем качестве.
I shall now make a statement in my capacity as the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation. Distinguished Secretary General, distinguished colleagues. When organizing today's meeting, our starting point was that ensuring calm in the region of the Persian Gulf would be important and a relevant task and undertaking for the entire international community. The difficult situation in this area is having a destabilizing effect on international relations. On this basis, we believe that the matter must remain in the focus of constant attention of the UN Security Council, which is responsible for the maintenance of international peace and security. Therefore, we propose that together we talk about what we can do tangibly to get the situation back from the brink and for the long-term stabilization of the region. Everybody remembers the atmosphere at the beginning of this year when concerns over a real large-scale war in the Gulf gripped many people. The worst-case scenario was avoided. However, we see no grounds for calm. The situation remains fragile and could become dangerous and unpredictable again, particularly given the presence of the already existing confrontations and conflicts of a confessional religious component. We are confident that everybody has an interest in peace in the region. Attempts at unilateral actions, as we continue to see, some of them are growing, but they are unproductive. The practice of blackmail and dictates is particularly problematic, demonizing one country in isolation. We need to set back mutual reproach and suspicions, move away from sanctions, pressure, ultimatums, and provocative actions, wherever they may come from. Even in the conditions of ongoing tensions, this is entirely feasible. We are convinced of that. There needs to be a creative philosophy to create in the region of the Persian Gulf through collective efforts on the basis of respect for the territorial integrity and independence of states in strict accordance with international law and the UN Charter. An important instrument preventing an escalation of tensions remains the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action to settle the situation around the Iranian nuclear program. That was already mentioned by the speaker before me. The JCPOA was a major political and diplomatic agreement that made it possible to push back the threat of military conflict and strengthen the nuclear non-proliferation regime. Russia, along with all other responsible parties to the agreement, remains fully committed to this agreement and convinced of the need to preserve and actively protect this marvelous result from difficult but positive collegial work. Distinguished colleagues, to come up with measures to prevent a further escalation and to establish in the Persian Gulf a reliable system of collective security. This is the aim of the initiative of President Putin to conduct an online meeting of heads of state of the permanent members of the UN Security Council, along with the Federal Republic of Germany and Iran. We thank those who have expressed support for this initiative. In order to establish a reliable system of regional security, Russia submitted a collective security concept for this region, the Persian Gulf, based on a constructive, unifying agenda, targeting the creation of mechanisms for the collective response to many threats and challenges with the involvement of the coastal states of the Persian Gulf, both Iran and all the Arab states. We propose that practical steps be taken to implement this idea, involving neighboring states and the permanent members of the Security Council, the Arab League, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and other interested parties. The path to this goal will not be an easy or a fast one, but it's something that the countries in the region first and foremost need to do themselves. And the job of outside players is to help them create conditions to move closer together through patient and consistent work, removing historical layers of mutual offense and confrontation. All of this will lead to discussions and will require delicate approaches. We, for our part, stand ready to support this within a dialogue with all partners. the mediating capacity of the UN will also be needed, including in the context of good offices of the Secretary General. We recall that Resolution 598 of the Security Council instructed the Secretary General to work together with parties in the region to come up with measures to strengthen security and stability in the region. It would be important to look at what has been done and what still needs to be done to implement this direct instruction. Our concept isn't God's honest truth, rather it is food for thought, and it is and the fundamental precondition for moving in the direction that we all need to move in is strict compliance with the principle of the indivisibility of security. This means that the security problems of some countries and strengthening the security of any country cannot be resolved at the expense of the security of others or to the detriment of any other state. Distinguished colleagues, I propose that we look at today's meeting as an invitation to overcome the disagreements that have built up through the beginning of a respectful dialogue based on taking into account the concerns of absolutely all parties and on the basis of international law. I'm confident that if we work together openly and impartially, and if we pool our political will and our creative potential, we will be able to help the states of the Persian Gulf overcome this difficult historic period and to create an effective system of regional security, either as a first step or at least as a basic principle for that. I have concluded my statement in my national capacity. I resume my function as President of the Security Council, and I would